all media at some point will be digital. The average American household has over 30 digital devices in the home. Those digital devices are going to begin to connect to one another, and people are going to want to enjoy great content in new forms.
The new media will gather increasing strength, not only PC-driven media or mobile-driven media, but the biggest revolution, which is the revolution around video content. Consumption habits, both of consumers and of companies, are going to change.
There isn't a single heritage media business that knows what its business model is going to be in 20 years' time. So great has been the digital disruption. So it doesn't matter whether you're talking about newspapers, movies where DVD revenues have fallen off a cliff, TV, they're losing share. So that is like a huge headache for them. But on the other hand, huge opportunities as we create this new digital economy. Big challenge, big headache, and if you've got the stomach for it, which probably means either that you're on laughing gas or you're relatively young, a great opportunity.
It's hard to say, is television winning, losing? What we can be certain of is people will consume as much or more media than they did in the past, but they may consume it in different ways because of the magic of digital. It should all be a positive, but it's going to be very disruptive, the way we think about video in the future.
I think the two biggest things that will affect the media world are both derived from the internet. Number one is the move to more interactivity in all forms of media and entertainment. And number two is the change in the distribution model for the distribution of content and advertising.
The ease of maneuver through what used to be the technological barriers will have become so second nature that you won't even think about it. And content creators and people trying to make money out of content will all have to adapt to that ease of maneuver.
People have much more power over what they consume and when they consume it. And they're using that power more and more with every passing year. I don't think it means another revolution. I think we're going to see a hybrid world where actually some quite traditional forms of media coexist. But I think that shift of power and choice away from the producer and the distributor towards the consumer is the central fact of what's happening.
It's still possible in isolated pockets to invent shows that captivate large audiences. The public like that, but they do like to get round commonly shared moments. There will be fewer of them. They will be worth more, but they're still possible and they still exist. And of course, it's a truism to say they still exist in sport.
The big winners in all of this are obviously the consumer, because the consumer is able to access content more at the time that they want to see it in more of a searchable and on-demand way. And secondly, I do think the content owner is the winner.
Now go ahead and pick the drink that lets you drink young as you think.
One of the major issues facing the content industries now, and therefore I would suggest the advertising industries who like to advertise around professional content, is that it's not clear how we're going to pay for content in the future.
We're already seeing a severe decline in the commitment to high-end quality content. We've all got to understand that free is the enemy of quality.
I think what you're going to see is a lot more usage and value of very low cost of production content, and therefore also a lot more premium on high cost of production content to really be differentiated, unique, and interesting. On the big content budgets, no doubt it's going to take a mix of advertising and subscription/transaction funding. And on the tail content, I think you will get some things which are transaction funded and most of which is advertising funded.
What we want to do with iAds is to deliver interaction, but also deliver emotion. And we want to be here.
We also have to figure out a model that allows advertising and great consumer experiences to coexist.
The interesting thing with the internet, and this is also the challenge, is that you can't mass market it. But instead you need to find out how to target it for the right audience.
Because television is going to be available and consumable on so many different types of devices, the behavior is different per screen, and so because the behavior is different, then the advertising and the analytics will actually end up being different.
One campaign means, in fact, that we might be pushing 10 different messages to 10 different audiences.
A big trend that we see happening everywhere is the whole concept of social media. One of the challenges with brand advertisers is that the brand dialogue, the brand perception is really oftentimes in the hands of the consumer. The most innovative brands are the ones that are actually taking the opportunity to engage and influence that dialogue. If advertisers, if content owners, if publishers can take advantage of that and really optimize accordingly, then you'll have these opportunities to engage with consumers in really, really unique ways.
I've brought you a gift.
What is it?
It's a crystal.
Symbol of the future.
We are all interested in the future.
I don't know the future.
There's a lot at stake.
I think there are many things that we don't yet know.
The only true wisdom consists in knowing that you know nothing.
You want answers?
Tell us the answer.
I think there are still many uncertainties.
Show me the final answer.
We are learning every day.
The answer to the ultimate question is...
So we quite like that when we created this video and we made all these interviews with Steve Ballmer and all these chief executives, they had obviously a lot of very strong opinions, but really underneath of all that was a lot of uncertainty. And we wanted to capture that as well, because today I don't think anybody really knows, and as you heard, the future is very much unwritten, which is tremendous opportunity for those who are interested in shaping it. And I think marketers have a tremendous opportunity to re-engage, not to be disintermediated, play a role, and social media has given that opportunity for consumers to reach out, and they've shown that they're very interested in engaging with brands, they're very interested in contributing, they're very interested in especially talking to other consumers and other like-minded people about your brands and your products and services. I encourage all of you to really think about how you are engaging the consumer and how you're thinking about that as we go forward. I know that Liam is going to talk now about mobile media and the role of that, and I think it's very difficult, and the reason we do social and mobile together is because it's very, very, very difficult to separate the two. Many people try to think about social in one respect, but many things around social are in fact mobile, and mobile are in fact social, and I think increasingly we're really talking about consumer engagement, and that world is just going to overlap each other and become a center of focus of much of what we're doing. And the reason we're focusing on mobile is because in many parts of the world, mobile is clearly on a hockey stick, and we believe it's going to be fully engaged. It's going to be the lead medium that we start all our marketing on. But I'll guarantee you today, it has a relatively little part of most marketers' budgets. Very, very few people have started roadmaps about what their digital strategies are, much less what their mobile strategies are. And within less than 3 years, the entire world will be connected by a mobile phone. And I think that's a really important step to go forward. So, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm applause for Mr. Scott. But a few moments before Mr. Liam on stage, I think there is a few moments, so we can give one question.
Sure.
Because I noticed there's one lady over there want to ask one question for you. Later, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, you have moment. We'll meet directly with our speaker later after lunch. Okay? I think only for this woman first.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ariani. I'm with Hutchison Group of Indonesia, and we are the mobile telco company.
Okay.
Previously, we always been doing the conventional medium, which is really easy to measure. And what we've targeted is always to have a certain CPRP for TV commercials, for the TV campaign that we do. And we always targeting. We have this very, very strict target of 15 to 39 ABC, and then national, we have 70% on the prime channels, 30% of second tier channel, for example. And now if one day we have to shift all of our investment to the digital media like right now, is there any certain measurements on how efficient our budget will be allocated, or things like engagement scores, like the one that is being put in your slide, can be helpful for us.
Yeah.
So that will be our question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that what you need to be doing, and what if you're not doing it already, is really creating some benchmarks for your own industry and your own brands about where you sit today and where engagement is, and then as you make investments, how that engagement is driving. I'll give you an example on Unilever. We manage in the United States almost 30% of their budget is digital. 30% of their total North American budget is digital. And it's happening because we measure all their digital activities in what we call a data mart, which gives us a view of all the activities and provides us with benchmark learnings about what we're doing and what we're not doing, what's working well, and how to feed that back. So it's been a multi-year process of building up learnings and understandings about how to set benchmarks for investment. And we've moved that investment from a very low digit number to that high number because we've been able to actually measure success. And we've been able to give a confidence level to the marketers and the brand owners about what that investment means over time. And so you start to look at that. Now, a lot of large global marketers are using benchmarks like digital consumption, right? So if a country or a region has a certain level of consumption, shouldn't our digital marketing be near that as an investment level? I'm not sure that that's the right benchmark to be using, because every brand and every engagement is going to be different. But everything's going to be different. But I think that you need a very robust way to measure not just the digital platform, but paid, owned, and earned. You need to be able to look at offline data, your own data, what traffic's happening, and retail, and all those experiences, and then earned media. And you have to understand the leverage between all those, because they're influencing each other. It's not about just shifting the money, right? It's not just about taking money out of traditional media and TVC and putting it into something else, because as you heard from Ford, there may not be any dollar investment, right? But you do need to let your consumers know what's happening, so you have to create visibility. In fact, I would contend that you might spend more in certain ways in offline, right, to let people know what's happening online. And that's one of the things that we do. People are like, well, we're going to shift all our money over to digital. Well, you understand, you have to make people aware of that. So you're going to have to create marketing and advertising and visibility and direct people to those experiences that are very specific, and you're going to be doing them more. So I think that there is no clear benchmark today. I think we're trying to create some benchmarks. If you've heard about IGRPs, right? So there's GRPs, and then there's IGRPs, and they're trying to create some level group, and there's a lot of controversy about whether that's the right thing to do or not the right thing to do. I think it's quite unsaid, right? At the end of the day, we know that we have to collect a lot of data information. We must benchmark that against what consumers are doing and value that. The best example I have just most recently was, again, a Unilever one around gaming. We had this concept, and we saw what was happening in network television in daytime. And there was absolutely daytime programming, if you know, in the United States. Most of the shows and soap operas have almost all disappeared. So there was no place to advertise. So we looked for gaming, and we did a very large test. We got some scale out of it. We got a lot of learning, and the indication was that it was actually quite a high value for consumer casual gaming. And although it's not a very sexy thing for an advertiser to look at 150 different small little casual games rather than a commercial that runs on a soap opera, it happened to have huge value and impact. So we have to start looking for ways that consumers are actually engaging with our brands, want to engage with them, that are quite different than history has shown us. So not a complete answer, but I think that if you're not putting a lot of data against what you're doing, then you're probably never going to get to the right metrics that you need. Okay? Liam?
Thank you very much. Once again, please give a warm applause for Mr. Scott.